Hey Ryan, sorry.
Can you hear me? I
Yes,
cannot hear you.
can you hear me?
Mm.
Let me get out and come back.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, Shahid?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm sorry. This my last conference call was crazy with the counselor. I had two counselors. How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. No worries. I assumed it was something like that. I know you were back home visiting family and stuff like that. So, lots to come back to after that. But yeah, so we were just kind of chit-chatting. Some investors were asking me to tell dad jokes. So I was doing a little stand-up routine for everybody. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for everyone just to get to know you a little bit, get to hear about your background, how you got into this, why you like assisted living, kind of like your vision for the future of your company, ask some questions, that kind of thing. So could just, introduce yourself and how you got into this.
Yeah, hello, I'm Shahid Imran. As I used to sell medical supply. I used to sell walker, wheelchair, scooter, hospital bed, CPAP, BiPAP, nebulizer machine. And one of the place I used to go was assisted living.
Mhm.
And most of my referral were coming from assisted living, memory care, and independent. And one of the thing I found, that really bothered me was how these seniors were treated. As I come from a culture where seniors are everything. And the food was provided was very filthy. And at that time, I went to the executive director. There was Mr. Martin, and I asked him, what will it take for him to at least improve food quality? And he said, I'm an employee, I have a budget, I have to follow. So make it short, uh, we had similar dream, spoiling seniors, and we started building our very first community in Hampton Township in Bay County in Michigan. That's where we came up with a Hampton Manor name. And every time we build a new community, we call it Hampton Manor and then add the name. Like we have Hampton Manor Davison, Hampton Manor Brighton, Hampton Manor Hamburg now in Florida, Hampton Manor Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Merritt Island. We just finished.
Mhm.
And then now we are grown from another 5, 6 states from Michigan. Now we are in Missouri, Texas, Virginia, and Illinois, and Florida. And we are excited to spoil that, generation that truly, build this country. I mean, my residents, when I see their date of birth, they were born 1920, 1930, 1940. This is the generation. They went World War II. So, if someone deserve, better is our senior. And unfortunately, they've been neglected. Even our government doesn't do much for them. And, most of our residents, I would say 60, 65% female. And that female has raised 2 to 3 generations. And assisted living, most of the time is the last place they are going to live. And they die in assisted living memory care. What we want to do, we want to make their departure, best of the best, because, if we don't take care of them, it's not good for us, and it will come back. And we truly want to spoil the greatest generation. It's their turn. It's our turn to give them back. So that's
Yeah.
what we do, and I'm makes me so happy and compassionate to do that every morning. Every morning I get up. I am in one of my community. In lunchtime, I was sitting. I wanted to make sure everyone loved their food. I wanted to make sure plates were empty, and I gave them a surprise visit. Lunchtime, no one, my employer knew I was coming. And if I happen to be in area, that's what I do. And I want to make sure that we feed them, best of the best. So that's why we do what we do.
That's great. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but before you and I met, I worked in home care for a while. So setting elderly up with caregivers, either at assisted living communities or at their home, or helping them get home from the hospital. And I noticed the same thing about a lot of the communities that they were living in. Just kind of a really sad way to spend your final few years, what time you have left. I unfortunately didn't have the visions that you had with Hampton Manor, but I've toured a number of your communities, and I have to say, like, beautiful communities. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised that you knew all the employees by name.
Again, I want to be invested. As people ask me first question, how are you doing with staffing? Are you struggling? One of the reason I'm doing, very well, I invest into them. I understand, what I can do as an employer, and then I expect same thing from them and an employee. I need your loyalty. I need, this care to come from your heart, because you can get same pay by flipping burgers, or but this is something, it has to come from your heart.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That was kind of where I was going with talking about knowing your employees, the staffing side of it. So it's not surprising that when you make people feel valued and appreciated and cared for, that they want to do a good job for you. And also, this is, like, in my opinion, a kind of a calling to work at a community like this. Kind of like you're calling to open these.
Yes.
So that's great. And some of the other questions I had revolve around, like, where you, like, the need for assisted living communities, how you identify where you're going to build these, that sort of thing. I didn't realize you were in Illinois, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a project in Streamwood and in Ophel, and there's two Ophel, and one is in Missouri, one is in Illinois. It's next to St. Louis.
Mhm.
And then we have a couple in suburb of Chicago that we started last summer. As you know, zoning, permitting literally taking now anywhere from 12 to 18 months, where it was 6 to 8 months before COVID.
Wow. Yeah, that the COVID piece is an interesting kind of segue. What was your experience with COVID at your communities that were already built and kind of operational?
Well, we did whatever we could do, Ryan. One of the things that I did, and I did not see anyone doing it, was I came up with a system where we designed a room with a plexi glass divider, where families still could come inside the building and be able to visit their loved one. Because as soon I knew, state put the restriction on visitation, I knew it will be very hard for family to be able to visit their loved ones. So that's one thing we did it. And then we just had very strict policies. We wanted to make sure we did not take any admission from nursing home or hospital,
Mhm.
because 80% those admissions were positive. I I had a nursing home, and I knew exactly what was going on, so we did not take any admission from those two places, and that kept our cases down. And we encouraged our caregivers, make sure you are not positive when you come to these communities. These people, they are geriatric population, and it can harm them.
Right.
So
Very susceptible to it.
yes, so we had some randoms. We were doing testing, and there were even time we were doing every week, every employee, every residence. And if we had someone positive, residents, then we made sure they stayed in their room, and we had kit by their door
Okay.
uh, to make sure it doesn't spread out the other facilities.
Gotcha. Now, so one of the things you mentioned there was nursing homes, and I think if you're from the space, the differences, and I'm familiar with the differences, but I think a lot of people that I've talked to just assume it's all the same thing.
Yeah, well, it's not same thing. You're right. Nursing him home is very sick. High. You know, care. And they are coming maybe for rehabilitations from hospitals for a short period, or there might be some long term, but they are very very sick people. Assisted living, is simply, you know we even don't call here patient, we call them residents. It's their house. We come to take care of them in their house, right? So that's why, if you see in our facilities, we try our best to make them feel homey, look homey, because end of the day, this is the last place they're going to live.
That's true. Um, Another thing that I get a lot of questions on is like baby boomers are aging. And while there's a huge need for assisted living today, I get a lot of questions around, but like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe there'll be so many of them built up that there's not really that need and occupancy rates will drop. Like what are you seeing on your end around that?
Well, as you know, we have a 72, 71 million baby boomer, right? So, and totally, if I see, if I have to project next 20, 30 year, we have almost 93, 94 million. There will be a huge shortage. There will be a huge shortage because, I'm a developer. I see some other, developing, but I see nothing. I said earlier from government, because if in another 20, 30 year, every fifth person will be senior,
Wow.
or more than 20% population is going to be senior. So there will always be a shortage. And the other thing you have to understand, Ryan, is today's seniors lifestyle is different than yesterday,
Mhm.
right? They like today's senior lifestyle, they want more, they want, more storage, whatever, right? They're, high technology people, right? So the communities that were built before, honestly, they're like unit size is like 200, 300, right? But now they want 500, they want 600. So those communities will not do very well. So that's why we need a new product. And truly, that's the only way you can spoil them. You give them a new product. It's homey, like as you seen Hampton Manor, we have movie theater, we have spa, we have beauty salon, we have library, we have sunroom, we have game room, we have happy hour, right?
Mhm.
We have multiple courtyards with water feature, with the putt green, with swimming pool. Now we even have a fireplace in our residence room, right? So we are adopting all those because this is what today's seniors lifestyle is. And unfortunately, the communities were built before, they don't have those luxuries. So that's why we have to continue to build more and more.
I I I agree completely. I've seen all the charts, obviously, but I got a lot of questions on it. So other questions I have is like Hampton Manor is private pay only, is that right?
Yes, yes, 100% private
And
pay.
and what is the reason for that? Because a lot of people ask me, well, why don't you accept government?
Well, our product is toward a middle class blue collar family. The reason we stay away from state funded or Medicaid waiver, I don't think it's a fair to a person who is paying 5, 6 thousand, and then I have next room a non-compliant state-funded person. It's not justice. Someone who worked very hard, 40, 50 year and had, saving retirement fund, did everything right.
Mhm.
So that's why we keep our product truly for a middle class family.
That's great. Yeah. So, kind of narrowing down on the Bedford property, which is the one that we're kind of offering out here in the next month or so. One of the things I noticed is that, and I was surprised that the average net worth of people that are of age to be moving into these communities is over $900,000.
Yeah,
And I think that's like that number was surprising to me, even.
yeah.
And so I would imagine that's one of the kind of things that you're looking for as you're identifying new markets to build these in. Is that right?
Yeah, when we look into a new market, there, criteria we have that we have to, make sure, it's median age, median income, density, growth for 12, 15 year. And then again, as I said, we have middle class, right? We want to make sure, their product will do very well.
Mhm.
Uh, because we don't want to build a Taj Mahal, then that area only can afford 2,500 or 3,000, right? So we build a project according what we can get out. And
And
then
I've
it has to be a wow factor for the local, make sure, it pleases them.
Yeah, and I've looked over all of the market viability reports or feasibility reports that you share, and I think there's a lot of really good information in there. So anybody listening, I would encourage you to check that out on the Bedford property, even though it's already built and it's already stabilized. When it was built in 2021, is that right?
Yes, we had our approval, I think, middle of 2021. And
Okay.
as you know, Ryan, before we even take investors' money when we build a new product, 35 to 40% is built senior living. And
Hmm.
we're not going to take any chance if we see any error, any room for error. So
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing that I touched on while we were kind of waiting earlier on in the call. So when you build these communities, Build Senior Living kind of funds the start of the project, and then investors' capital comes in after. It's kind of like removing a lot of the risk for investors when they come in like that.
yes. So like I said earlier, the zoning can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. So right now, we just getting approval one of our project in Richmond, Virginia. And there Richmond, it took me almost 26, 27 months to
Wow.
get this stage. And seller couldn't wait. So we had to pay, was 1.9 million. And between architect, engineer, counselor, we have almost 2.6, 2.7 million into it, and we even have not raised $1.
Wow.
So when we break ground, at that time we take investors funds, because our promise to them is 24 months.
Right.
And that way I only can achieve if I have broken ground, mean I have started the project. Usually construction period is 14 to 16 months.
Hmm.
So after 16 months, I have, 8 months. Usually we get license and open CO, certificate of occupancy another 2, 3 months. And our usually is turn in 18, 19, 20 months.
And that I guess in a way you could look at that lengthy permit period as kind of a barrier to entry. You don't have to worry really about too many people building additional communities, more competition showing up when it takes 18, 27 months to get a permit.
It's yes, it's very lengthy process. You're right. Even like state of Missouri is a C1 state, right? And it takes even longer. And it's not even about it takes longer. It's about very expensive. It's financially your budget is increased because now you have to hire different counselor for different. That we didn't have to do in some other states. Uh, it's unfortunate, the governmental agencies take that longer. So you are right, it does make difficult for other developer. And
Yeah.
again, this is what we do. We take that risk. 2 year, 3 year. Either we get through or we don't get through, right? But
Yeah.
we are not going to have investors' money stuck.
That's great. That's great. And on that investor's money side, a big question that I've gotten basically every time I talk to anybody is how can you afford to pay investors 14 to 16% on something like Bedford? Is it really like that profitable?
Yeah. I mean, once you have a certain residence and your expense, I think Bedford, if I remember last time looking at it, I think we were profiting 33, 34%.
Hmm.
Because what happened, if Bedford, I have another community called Dundee,
Hmm.
20 minutes, Hampton
Familiar
Manor.
with Andy?
Then I have another community, another 25 minutes called Hampton Manor of Adrian, right?
Mhm.
So I have one regional, ED, executive director. Then I have, position like wellness director, office manager, activity, and I don't start them with 70, 80,000 because usually I am the licensee on all my building. And when you hire an administrator to be licensed, you pay them 70, 80,000. Here, if I am the licensee, if I am signing all the incident report, I don't need to pay myself 70,000, right? So there are few things I do around to make it more profitable.
Okay, that's great. That's helpful to know, because that's probably the number one question that I've gotten as I'm speaking with people. That's good to know. And the Bedford property, I think the last time we talked, is 92% occupied.
Yes, yes, yes. We unfortunately had to turn away some residents because they're looking like, one bedroom we don't have available, two bedroom we have, couple studios. Our memory care is full.
Yeah, this is a little off topic, but I've always been amazed on your construction projects, how quickly you lease people up. Like, I think, when did Merritt Island officially open? And we talked like a month after, and you were already at 60%, I think.
Yes, yes, we had 48, 49. Yes.
Yeah, and this just speaks to the need, basically everywhere for this. I think
I
a lot
mean,
of people think it's
yeah.
only in Florida that you need these.
No, no, it's everywhere. As I said, we do market study and we want to make sure there is no any new product in pipeline. And then we go with speak with the city, with the county. Is there any applications? Now, our market study is very detailed. So we do it. Our step one, we do one in-house. If we feel comfortable, then we hire outside third party and do it.
That's great. So I don't have a whole lot of other questions. Do the investors on the line have any questions? I answered some of them before you jumped on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was behind with my last call.
Don't worry
I'm
about it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll cut those 10 minutes off on the YouTube video. All right. I'm not getting any other questions here. Okay, there's one question. Tax reporting for this investment, it's a K1, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they get a K1 if the project is completed in the year. So if for cash flow, yeah, they get a K1
Right.
every year.
Yeah, so we'll get a K1 out. And Chester's asking, are monthly distributions solely tied to the performance of the project? We kind of fix the returns on these investments. And so I think this question is probably more related to what happens if occupancy dips from 92% to 60%.
No, we live with our promise.
Okay.
If the promise was 16% return, they get 16% regardless. We performance goes up and down.
Yeah, and
We sure we
that's
have a cash flow.
that's been my experience, kind of sitting on the other side of these projects too. When some of the occupancy dips, the returns are there. When the occupancy goes up, the returns are there too. This the Bedford property, you said, had a cost seg study run in 2021. Is there any depreciation that investors will get from this investment?
Now it's pretty full. It's very profitable. So when we do cost segregation, I think it comes for 4 or 5 year, right? So if we did one in 21, 22, so we use it for 2 year, right? So third year it might be very minimal. Usually you get good depreciation if it's new construction.
Right, right. That's
Yeah,
that's why.
if you have investor, they are looking, higher depreciation or better depreciation, then it might be for them to invest into a real estate and the project that is construction because that can offer a huge depreciation.
Yeah, and just for everybody on the line, when Shahid says real estate deals, he's talking about the construction deals. And that's when we had a call just on the investment like a week and a half ago, somebody asked about depreciation on this one. I said it's going to be minimal. I wouldn't look for this one to have too much depreciation. But if you're looking for depreciation, we'll have something else coming up pretty soon. All right, just knocking out questions here. I think that's about it. Shahid, is there anything you want to close with? Maybe where you kind of see, Hampton Manor and Build Senior Living going in the future, other states you want to get into, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we have grown into 6 states from, we are originally from Detroit, Michigan. We started Tennessee and we're starting Milwaukee, Wisconsin, suburb area.
Okay.
This year, this is our plan for 2 states.
Nice. Nice. I got another question here related to 1031. Regarding 1031, the monthly depreciation also tied to property depreciation. I would think that when they do a 1031 into one of these stable communities, it's kind of the same structure where the depreciation was used mostly the year that it was built. Is that right? And then
So
the
yeah,
depreciation kind of drops off.
so the year, say for example, Merit Island was finished in 2022, right? So we do cost segregation in Merit Island, and we have not yet reached our 24 month. We are only in our 19th month, so we still have another 5 months. Uh, so they will get depreciation, bonus depreciation for last year, and they still can do a 1031 if they want to reinvest this
Mhm.
year, right? So they have depreciation, then also they have a benefit of reinvesting and still avoiding capital gain.
Gotcha. Okay, I hope that answers the question, Kathy. If it doesn't, we can kind of chat offline. I'm happy to do that. All right, so Shahid, I don't have any other questions for you. Here's a couple questions about, are we coming in as LP? Yes, you're coming in as an LP in this investment. Find the legal tick structure. Shahid, are you comfortable speaking to the legal tick structure? Is that a question that we should talk to?
Yeah, yeah. I have done, as you know, I have done
Yeah.
1031 over a dozen times. So um,
Do you have any
when
comments on the
when you
tick structure?
when you sell a property, you can use the proceed for a similar
Right.
investment, right? So if you have apartment is real estate and or house, anything real estate, you can use the same proceeds into a similar project, and you can do 1031, and you usually IRS 6 month 180 days.
That's right. Yeah. In terms of like more of like the legal side of it, it probably would be a better question to have like Gary answer, probably. Do you think?
Yeah, yes, Gary, I can answer,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's very simple,
Yeah.
straightforward. So it depending if you are doing in a cash flow, it done very quick. If you
Mhm.
are doing in real estate, in construction, then you have 180 days to use the proceeds funds.
Right. All right. I think that's it. Folks, if you have any other questions, you can text me, email me, call me, you know how to get a hold of me. And I'll make sure to get those questions answered. Sheet, I really appreciate you making
No,
time.
I'm so sorry. I still have to apologize. I was behind. Thank you.
It's fine. It's fine. It was good. It was good seeing you. Thanks for joining us, guys. Reach out to me if I can help, and Shahid will catch up later. Bye, everyone.